Yeah, so we find ourselves, as we said, after the 9 days, after Tisha B'Av, after the birthday of Mashiach, and the Adayin Lo Yiba, and we still haven't merited to be able to see with our eyes of flesh and blood the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. The Rebbe tells us to call out, to scream out, Ad Mosai, till when? How long are we going to be in Geula without being able to see it? Nevertheless, we're in the midst of the preparation for the festival, the greatest of festivals that we have, that the Jewish nation received, the festival of the 15th of Av. As the Mishnah states, there were no greater days for the Jewish nation than the 15th of Av and Yom HaKippurim, and the Mishnah puts the 15th of Av before Yom Kippur. And there are many different reasons that we celebrate the 15th of Av. One of the major reasons is that the Metei Midbar, those that were dying in the desert every year for the 40 years that the Jewish nation had to go round and round and around in the desert, they ceased to die, and it was confirmed that they will not continue to die anymore on the 15th of Av, due to the fact that they all thought that they made a mistake in the calculations, and maybe the 9th of Av hasn't come yet, until they continued to wait. And then on the 15th of Av, when the moon was at its fullest, it's the full moon, then they knew for sure that there was no miscalculation, and the decree of the Jews, of the Jewish nation dying in the desert every year, since the sin of the spies and the Jewish nation rebelling, not wanting to go into Eretz Yisrael, that decree ceased. But there's also a very great custom. The Mishnah tells us that the Jewish women would go out into the vineyards, and they would go and they would seek themselves a husband, a shidduch, a husband. And this would be also done on the 15th of Av, and it was done in a very interesting manner, that the women were obliged to borrow a white gown from their fellow woman. Even the princess, even the daughter of the Kohen, they had to borrow gowns, and this was in order to go and to make sure that those women that don't have gowns shouldn't be embarrassed. And so here in Israel, the 15th of Av also received the nickname as the holiday of love. Okay, it has to do with getting married, and the Rebbe explains that the whole concept of getting married here in the mundane world is parallel to the actual marriage in the spiritual sense between the Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish nation, the souls of the Jewish nation, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Holy One, blessed be He. And this is, as we know, in the Geula Shlema V'Amitis, in the true and the complete redemption, which we should be meriting immediately, Teichef Umiyad Mamash. In regard to the story, interesting story. Those that are getting married, like Rav David Baruch Kaus, and those that are already married, there's a lot to learn from the following story, and the story is as we'll hear it now. In a town outside New York City, there lived a family, newlywed family, and as the nature that Hashem blesses a family, they started to having children, and the family started to grow and to grow. Baruch Hashem, Kenai Nahora, Halavai, upon all the families of the Jewish nation. But with the growing of the family, the chores of the home grew as well. Now, the wife, the woman of the home, wanted to try to do everything on her own, and give her husband the ability to be free to do whatever, to go and to earn a livelihood, and to go into daven properly, to learn Torah. But as the family grew larger and larger, so she saw that it was getting to the point where it was impossible to do everything on her own. So one day she she goes to her husband, and her husband, as much as perhaps he wanted to help, but he would get up early in the morning. He would run out to shul to daven, come back. He would sit down for a short period of time to eat breakfast, and then he had to get on the bus in order to get to his place of work. So every time that he was asked to help, so he said, "Oh, I'm very sorry. I have to go to daven. Oh, I'm very sorry. I have to get to work." It's an excuse, but it's the truth. So the wife asked her husband to sit down with her and to talk this over. They spoke it over, and they came to the conclusion that the husband is going to take upon himself two major things in the home. The first chore that he was going to do is that he would do the shopping every Thursday evening, the shopping for Shabbos and for the entire week. And the second thing was that he would take the garbage out. Okay, fine. As things went, the first chore of going and doing the shopping Thursday evening wasn't that difficult. He came back in the evening. He had free time. He would go, he would do the shopping, bring the shopping back, the groceries back home. But the other part of the agreement, the taking out of the garbage every morning, this was very challenging for him. Why? Because in the morning, he literally was on a very tight clock, and he had a lot of pressure, because if he wouldn't make his bus, he would be he would have to go in then with the next bus, and he would be an hour late to work, and this would take its toll in all manners and shapes and figures. So when the wife saw that he wasn't taking out the garbage, so the wife decided that she's not going to take out the garbage either. What did she do with the garbage? She left it outside, right next to the house. And so the garbage started to pile up higher and higher and higher. And every time the husband ran out in the morning, he saw the garbage, but he just totally didn't have time to go and to stop. It was probably because of two reasons. One reason is because he didn't want to miss the bus and be late to work. And the second reason is because he was walking with his bag for his briefcase to work, and he didn't want to take on the other hand the garbage, which sometimes it didn't have such a great odor, so he would forget it. Okay, the garbage piled up, and one morning he's comes back from davening, finishes breakfast, and he's on his way running out the door, and his wife stands in the doorway, and she tells him in these very words. She says, "You better take out now all the garbage, or that's the last time that you're going out of this door, and you're not going to be coming home anymore." She meant that things are going to be finished. He's not going to have a home to come back to. He took it seriously, and he laid his briefcase down, took off his suit, and he started to go and to take one bag of garbage after the other to the garbage collection spot, which took a lot of effort on his part. Big heavy bags, and also it was kind of. It wasn't comfortable with the odor from the garbage that was sitting there so long. Kitza Maisa, he finished, he washed his hand, put on his suit, took his briefcase, and he got on the bus. It didn't take too long for him to understand the prophetical words that his wife told him. which were, as we said, if you don't take the garbage out now, it's the last time that you're going to be coming back home. That day was 9/11. And he, the husband, worked on one of the top floors in the Twin Towers. And the fact that his wife stood there and told him what she said literally saved his life that day. In the even more positive vein, we know that it's very important to go and to keep a very positive balance in Shalom Bayis. And this is definitely the major mitzvah. Hashem says that his own name could be erased as far as he's concerned in order to go and to maintain peace in the home. And it's not only a matter of guarding that there shouldn't be negativity in the home, but it's a matter of expressing the encouragement so that there should be a positive happiness and simcha in the home. And this is exactly what we quoted from the Mishnah, that there were no greater festivals than Chamisha Asar B'Av, the 15th of Av, and Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is the day that we do tshuva. So therefore, our entire life is spared for another year. And Chamisha Asar B'Av, as we mentioned, is the day that the women would go out into and dance in the vineyards in order to go and to find their shidduch, to find their husbands. This is what also maintains the very life, the physical, the mental, the spiritual life of every single husband, every single individual family, by going and giving pleasure, giving happiness, and making sure that one's wife is happy, and especially listening to what your wife says, and even more so when it comes to throwing out the garbage. Garbage can be not only material garbage, it can be spiritual garbage as well. The Eibusher should help that through telling the stories, so we should be able to have our revealed, maintained Shalom Bayis with Hashem, the Eibusher, Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we should have it on a good and revealed basis in the eternal Beis HaMikdash. The main thing, it should be Teichef Miyad Mamish, Mamish, Mamish. Yechi Adonenu, Morenu V'Rabbeinu, HaMelech Ha'Moshiach, Le'olam Vo'ed.